Hey, so I've recently found two pretty niche bugs to do with the browser's built-in drag and drop functionality and iframes. So let's take it probably the most serious one first. And in this setup here that I've got going, I've got a parent window, and in that window I've got this panel over here. And this inside of this section here, so this is an iframe, which also has some drag and drop setup. Now, the browser's built-in functionality allows me to have drag and drop sort of into and out of these windows, one being an iframe and one being the parent window. Now, this bug is relating to when this panel is being placed on top of this other element. So firstly, I can still drag these fine. That is until the iframe, this iframe in here, is actually now an external source. So in this case, different origin. This is loading up the Atlassian Design System website. So it's on a different origin, different domain. Now, you'll see what happens here in Chrome is that now I can't do drag and drop operations inside of this panel. Now, if it wasn't on top, totally fine. It's only because it's on top of this other iframe. So Chrome has this unique security functionality where it won't let you drag from a parent window into an iframe in the same document if that child iframe is on a different origin. Now, I don't necessarily think that's the best choice, given especially that you can just drag, like if that iframe was loaded in another tab, that would be fine. I think it's one of those kind of funny things that Chrome does, which is pretty unique. Anyway, so they've got this piece of this security feature to stop you, like they don't want you to drag from a parent iframe into a parent window into a child iframe. However, it seems to be running, that's what I think is going on, that we're running into that problem here. So for some reason, it thinks that I'm trying to drag over this iframe behind it, and it's saying like, no, you can't do that. And so it's just not publishing the events to the parent window anymore, the drag events. This bug is unique to Chrome. So if I come over here and this is the same setup in Firefox, it's all good. And also here in Safari, if I do this, it's all good as well. So this bug only impacts Chrome. So I created a workaround for this bug. And what it is, I'll just do it there. What it's going to do is now when I am dragging something around, it's going to set pointer events none onto that iframe. And so now you'll see that I'm able to, drag around successfully. It's sort of, that is saying that, hey, like you can't drag into that iframe, but it's sort of like blocking it with pointer events none. And so the Chrome is fine with this. To help visualize what's going on, when I'm setting pointer events to none, I'm also applying a grayscale filter to the iframe. So you'll see that when I'm dragging around, it's kind of grayed out. That's just to help visualize that pointer events none is being applied. You definitely don't have to grayscale the iframe underneath. So this is pretty unfortunate. You would hope that this would actually kind of be the default in Chrome. Like if they're not going to allow you to drag into iframes that are on a different domain, then it sort of makes sense to probably just put pointer events none on them by default. Now, setting up this particular workaround there's a little bit of maneuvering. It's not as straightforward as you would hope. So unfortunately, by the time the drag start event occurs, it's too late. If we set pointer events to none on the iframe during the drag start, we'll be impacted by this bug. So it seems like the latest point that I can apply this in sort of a robust way is on pointer down. So when a user's doing a drag, it starts with a pointer down, then they move their cursor, they get a few pointer moves, then you get the drag start event, and then you get a pointer cancel. It's sort of the flow of events. I'm not sure if the pointer moves are always going to happen, but I can be pretty confident that a pointer down will occur before a drag start. And that seems to be an okay point to apply this fix. So when I do the pointer down on the draggable element, I apply the fix. Now, I will remove the fix if they do a pointer up. So if they're just clicking, it just gets removed straight away. But otherwise, if it transitions into a drag, we keep that fix, that workaround, applied for the entire duration of the drag. And then remove it when the drag is completed. Where to put this fix is kind of an interesting thought. So pragmatic drag and drop, which is a library that I work on, which has, which covers over some of the rough edges of the web platform to make the drag and drop functionality safer and easier to use. It's hard to think like, where could this fix live? Like, it's definitely not going to live in the core because, having to reach out to searching around the page for other elements to potentially block pointer events on feels very heavy for something that is pretty niche. Like, I imagine that the vast majority of people will never ever run into this type of issue. And so to put something like that bake that functionality in feels wrong. So then I think making it an optional utility would be great. Should that live in the core package? I'm not sure, because there's a lot of this fix isn't, because it's reaching out and finding other things on the page. You also then need to make the decision of, okay, well, if you're going to have, say, a cleanup function for this, what if I call it during the drag? Should we keep the iframes blocked even if the cleanup function was called? What happens if new iframes are added to the page during a drag? What should we do? And we could definitely make something that's pretty resilient, but it also feels like there's a lot of what ifs, and it might be better just to have a sort of a page that explains what the bug is and some code to fix the bug for, specific cases. And then if it doesn't work for everyone, maybe, they can just evolve or change that fix. I mean, if you're in that situation, you'll probably be hopefully pretty well positioned to figure out what you need to do. And also, because it doesn't solve it necessarily for everyone, I'm conscious maybe not putting it in the core package. Maybe make another package. I know, another package, maybe a iframe specific package, which could have this fix. Because there seems to be a few little functions that are popping up that are helpful for iframe stuff. So maybe that could be kind of a nice place to put it. Anyway, so not sure where it will live, but hopefully at least a guide on what the bug is and how to work around it. There is another bug that I found with this particular setup, which is relatively minor, but while we're here, let's talk about it. So now I've got it so that both this panel here is on the same origin as this parent window, and I can sort of drag into these. That's totally fine. Now I'm going to put this back on top, and you'll notice the bug. So when I'm dragging this element, coming over this drop target, and now I'm entering over this window, all looks good, except you'll notice that in the iframe, it still says that it's over that element, which is incorrect. And we've actually left the window and we're over something else. Usually what happens is when you leave the window, you'll get a drag leave event. When you're exiting elements, you're getting drag leave events, and you're getting drag enter events as well when you're kind of entering into new ones. But what actually happens here is that all the drag events just stop. So you don't get a drag leave, you don't get any drag enters, but you actually stop getting the drag event, which is supposed to happen every 200 milliseconds. I think it's according to the spec. Now, in browsers, it's actually a lot more frequent than 200 milliseconds, but that stops as well. The whole interaction just kind of stops, which is quite unusual. Now, it's not the end of the world. So when you drag over here and you drop, that original window in the iframe gets a drag end event to say that the drag ended and didn't drop on anything kind of in here. And so it's not necessarily any kind of logic issue. Your applications won't break because of this bug. You'll get the correct sort of end event to say that it's finished. But it is a bit funny, right? When you're over here and they both sort of say that they're being over. Now, I actually haven't coded up a workaround for this, but one that you could do is, I mentioned that the drag event should happen every 200 milliseconds. Well, what you could do is start a timer when you see a drag event, and if you don't see it for a sufficiently long amount of time, you could say hey, I'm probably not over anymore. Now, I would actually recommend not doing that. I don't like those types of workarounds because There's nothing to say that you might be running on a, quite a poor machine and there's some CPU spike which goes for a second or two, and then it might kind of not actually be fixing what you think it is, right? So given that it's purely a visual thing, like it's not the end of the world, I don't think. I think this is so minor, and this is such a niche case where you have like a panel over an iframe, and you get this type of thing. Like it's probably just fine. But there is a path if you need it. I haven't thought too long about, what would be a potentially super resilient path. But I think it's just so minor that it's not probably worth investigating. So minor and so niche. So I hope you found this journey kind of interesting. Realistically, this bug won't really be impacting that many people. It's very niche, but it's interesting kind of to think about all the same. Now, I will put links to the two Chrome bugs that I'm going to create into the description of this video, so you can navigate to those to find out kind of where this is up to. All right, bye.